Before the noise of the day begins, before the messages, the responsibilities, the expectations, pause for a moment. This is not just another morning. This is a moment of mercy. Maybe you woke up today already feeling behind. Behind in life, behind in growth, behind in the promises you made to yourself and even to God. You said you would change. You said this habit would stop. You said this would be the season you finally became stronger. But here you are again, still fighting the same thoughts, still carrying the same weakness, still wondering why it feels so hard to fix what's broken inside you. And if you're honest, the hardest part isn't the struggle itself. It's the disappointment, the quiet frustration with yourself, the silent question, why am I still like this? Some mornings don't begin with energy. They begin with regret. You replay yesterday's failures before your feet even touch the floor. You remember the words you shouldn't have said, the discipline you didn't keep, the prayer life you meant to strengthen but didn't. And slowly, a dangerous belief tries to settle in your heart. Maybe I need to fix myself before I come to God today. Maybe I should pray when I'm stronger. Maybe God is tired of hearing the same confession. But listen carefully this morning. God is not waiting for a better version of you. He is inviting the real you, right now, at this exact moment, in this exact condition. There is something inside all of us that wants to repair ourselves first. We want to show improvement. We want to earn closeness. We want to present a version of ourselves that feels worthy. But the gospel does not begin with self-improvement. It begins with surrender. You cannot heal your own soul. You can manage behavior. You can discipline routines. You can hide struggles. But you cannot transform your heart by force. And maybe that's why you're exhausted, because you've been trying to carry what only grace can lift. Some of you are not physically tired this morning. You are spiritually tired. Tired of battling thoughts no one sees. Tired of asking God for forgiveness for the same thing. Tired of promising change and falling short. You love God. That's not the issue. You desire growth. That's not the issue. The issue is that you're trying to fight spiritual battles with human strength alone. And human strength has limits. This morning is not about trying harder. It's about admitting you can't do this alone. There is a powerful shift that happens when you stop saying, I'll fix it, and start saying, God, I need you. Because the moment you stop pretending you're strong, heaven begins to move. Broken honesty is not weakness in God's presence. It is the doorway to mercy. Think about this. If you could fix yourself completely, you would not need a savior. If discipline alone could free you, Calvary would not have been necessary. But God knew something we forget every morning we wake up discouraged. You cannot save yourself. And you were never meant to. The cross was not built for the perfect. It was built for the struggling, for the doubting, for the weary, for the ones who tried and failed again. That means it was built for you. So before you rush into this day trying to prove something, before you put on strength you don't actually feel, take a breath. Let this morning begin differently. Instead of starting with self-criticism, start with surrender. Instead of replaying your failures, remember His faithfulness. Instead of saying, what is wrong with me? Start saying, God, I give you what I cannot fix. You are not a disappointment to God. You are not a burden He regrets carrying. You are not too repetitive in your weakness. Grace does not expire because you struggle twice, or 10 times, or 100 times. This morning is proof of mercy. You woke up. That means God is not finished with you. And before we even move into deeper prayer, you must understand something foundational. You do not have to repair yourself before approaching Him. You do not have to clean your soul before kneeling. You do not have to silence your doubts before reaching out. Come tired. Come uncertain. Come imperfect. But come, because when you can't fix yourself, that is often the exact place where God begins His deepest work. And this morning, He is not asking for a perfected version of you. He is asking for your surrender. This morning, as the light slowly fills the sky, there is something you need to remember. Calvary still stands. It has not weakened. It has not lost power. It has not closed its doors because of your repeated struggles. When Jesus walked toward the cross, he was not surprised by your weaknesses. He saw them, every relapse, every moment of doubt, every prayer you would pray asking for forgiveness for the same thing again. And he still chose to continue walking. The cross was not an emotional reaction. It was a deliberate decision. He knew what it would cost him: the betrayal, the humiliation, the nails, the weight of sin. And yet he did not turn back. Why? Because Calvary was never about your perfection. It was about his love. Some mornings you wake up feeling unworthy to even whisper a prayer. You feel like you've exhausted grace, like you've used up mercy, like you've asked for forgiveness too many times. But mercy does not operate on a limit system. Grace does not run out because you struggle repeatedly. If grace were fragile, it would not have survived the cross. Think about this carefully. The same blood that covered the thief on the cross, the same forgiveness that restored Peter after he denied Jesus, the same mercy that met Paul after persecuting believers, is the same mercy available to you this morning. You are not the exception to grace. The enemy wants you to believe that your struggle disqualifies you. God says your struggle is exactly why you need him. There is a reason Calvary is central to our faith. Because it removes the illusion that we can save ourselves. At the cross, human effort ends. At the cross, pride collapses. At the cross, we realize something humbling and freeing at the same time. We cannot fix ourselves, but we don't have to. Some of you have been carrying shame like a permanent identity. You don't just say, "I made a mistake." You say, "I am a mistake." But Calvary separates who you are from what you struggle with. Your weakness is real, but it is not your identity. Your failure may have happened, but it is not your future. This morning, imagine yourself standing at the foot of the cross. Not polished, not spiritually impressive, just honest. You look up, and instead of condemnation, you see compassion. Instead of rejection, you see invitation. Jesus does not look at you and say, "Fix yourself first." He says, "Come to me. Come tired, come burdened, come heavy." He did not stretch out his arms on the cross to push you away. He stretched them out to make room for you. And here is the powerful truth for this morning. The cross is not just about forgiveness. It is about access. Because of Calvary, you can approach God boldly, not because you earned it, but because Jesus paid for it. That means this morning, you do not pray from a place of fear. You pray from a place of welcome. You are not knocking on a locked door. You are stepping into an open embrace. Some people believe the cross was only for the day you got saved. But Calvary is not just for your past. It is for today, for this struggle, for this weakness, for this moment of feeling spiritually inadequate. Every morning you wake up, the cross still speaks. It says, "You are forgiven. You are covered." Now that you have placed your weakness at the foot of the cross, the question becomes, how do you walk through the rest of this day? Because the morning is quiet, but the day will not be. Responsibilities are waiting. Conversations are coming. Temptations may appear. Unexpected pressures may rise. And sometimes, after a powerful prayer moment, reality tries to rush back in and say, "Nothing has changed," but something has changed. You have shifted your posture. You are no longer trying to fight alone. This is the difference between striving and trusting. Striving says, "I must hold everything together today." Trusting says, "God is holding me together today." Striving is heavy. Trusting is steady. And today you choose steady. There may still be weaknesses you're working through. There may still be habits you are learning to overcome. There may still be areas of growth that feel slow. But growth with God is not instant transformation. It is daily dependence. Every morning you wake up and choose surrender, you are growing even if you don't feel dramatic change. The world tells you that change must be loud to be real. But spiritual growth is often quiet. It happens in small decisions. Choosing patience when you want to react. Choosing honesty when you want to hide. Choosing prayer when you want to give up. Choosing faith when feelings fluctuate. Do not underestimate small obedience. Small obedience repeated daily becomes strong character. And strong character produces lasting freedom. Today, instead of focusing on fixing your entire life, focus on trusting God in this hour. Just this hour. If the whole day feels overwhelming, narrow it down. Lord, help me in this next conversation. Lord, help me in this next task. Lord, help me in this next temptation. Grace is not only for forgiveness. Grace is for endurance. Grace is for strength. Grace is for the moment you feel like reverting to old patterns. And here is something important for this morning. You may still feel weak, but weakness does not mean God is absent. In fact, Scripture reminds us that His power is made perfect in weakness. That means the very area you dislike most about yourself may become the place where you experience God most deeply. The struggle that humbles you may be the struggle that anchors you to Him. Because when you know you cannot fix yourself, you stop pretending. And when you stop pretending, you start depending. And dependence is where intimacy grows. Today, if you stumble, do not run away. Return immediately. If you fall short, do not spiral into shame. Return immediately. The enemy wants delay. God invites immediacy. The moment you recognize weakness, turn it into prayer. The moment you recognize temptation, turn it into surrender. The moment you recognize discouragement, turn it into truth. You are not trying to build a perfect record. You are building a daily relationship. And relationships are strengthened through consistency, not perfection. This morning you declared surrender. That is not small. That is powerful. Because surrender opens space for God to work. Now as you step into your responsibilities, remember, you carry peace with you, not because the day will be easy, but because your foundation is secure. The cross does not disappear when the morning prayer ends. Calvary walks with you when you enter that workplace, when you sit in that classroom, when you drive through traffic, when you face that difficult conversation. You are not entering alone. Let today be different, not because everything externally changes, but because internally you are anchored. Anchored in grace, anchored in truth, anchored in the finished work of Jesus. You don't have to impress God today. You don't have to earn another measure of love. You begin this day already accepted, already seen, already covered, and that changes how you walk. You walk lighter, you speak calmer, you respond slower, you breathe deeper, because you are not carrying the weight of self-salvation anymore. That weight was nailed to the cross. So if anxiety tries to rise later today, pause and remember this morning. If self-criticism tries to return, pause and remember this surrender. If discouragement whispers, pause and remember, Calvary still stands. And because it stands, you stand. Not perfectly, but faithfully. Lord, where there is temptation today, give me awareness. Where there is weakness, give me courage. Where there is anxiety, give me peace. Where there is self-condemnation, give me truth. I refuse to start this day in shame. I start this day in surrender. I refuse to hide from you. I draw near to you, because your word says that when we draw near to you, you draw near to us. So draw near to me this morning, Father. Fill the empty places. Strengthen the fragile areas. Restore what feels worn down. And let this be the day I stop striving and start trusting. The day I stop performing and start resting. The day I stop trying to fix myself and allow you to do the deep work only you can do. Jesus, thank you that Calvary still welcomes me, not because I deserve it, but because you decided to love me anyway. I receive that love today. I receive that mercy today. I receive that grace today. And I walk into this morning not as someone rejected, but as someone redeemed. Before you step into the rest of your day, pause one more time. You did not pray this prayer by accident. You did not wake up to this message randomly. This morning was a divine reminder. You are not alone in your struggle. You are not disqualified by your weakness. You are not rejected because you're still growing. Calvary still stands. And that means your failure is not final. Your weakness is not permanent. Your story is not over. The enemy wanted you to wake up in shame today. God wanted you to wake up in surrender. There is a difference. Shame pushes you away from God. Surrender pulls you closer. And today you chose surrender. So walk into this morning differently. Not trying to prove yourself. Not trying to earn love. Not trying to hide your imperfections. Walk knowing you are covered. Covered by mercy. Covered by grace. Father, teach me what surrender truly means. Teach me that surrender is not giving up. It is giving over. Giving you control. Giving you authority. Giving you access to the places I try to manage myself. This morning, I choose faith over feelings. Even if I don't feel strong, I declare that you are my strength. Even if I don't feel worthy, I declare that Jesus has made a way. Even if I feel tired of fighting, I declare that you are fighting for me. Lord, renew my mind today. When accusing thoughts try to return, remind me of the cross. When shame tries to whisper that I am too far gone, remind me of the empty tomb. When I feel weak, remind me that your power is made perfect in weakness. Help me walk into this day not as someone trying to earn your love, but as someone already covered by it. Help me stop measuring myself by yesterday's failures. Help me start seeing myself through the finished work of Christ. Father, I give you this morning. Lord, there are areas of my life I have tried to fix on my own. I've made promises. I've made plans. I've told myself, this time will be different. I give you my schedule. I give you my conversations. I give you my decisions. I give you my reactions. When temptation comes today, remember the cross. When discouragement whispers, remember the empty tomb. When you feel weak, remember that His strength begins where yours ends. You don't have to fix yourself before coming to God. You just have to come. And you came this morning. As this morning moves forward, there is something you must be prepared for. Moments when the peace you feel right now gets tested. Because peace in prayer is beautiful, but peace in pressure is powerful. At some point today, something may trigger you. A memory, conversation, an unexpected problem, a temptation you thought was weakening but suddenly feels strong again. And in that moment, you might think, see, nothing has changed. But that is not true. The difference is not that the battle disappears. The difference is that you are no longer fighting from the same place. Before, you were fighting for acceptance. Now, you are fighting from acceptance. Before, you were trying to earn grace. Now, you are standing in grace. That changes everything. When temptation shows up today, it is not proof that you are failing. It is proof that you are human. Even Jesus was tempted. Temptation itself is not defeat. It is an opportunity to depend. And dependence is not weakness, it is alignment. There will be moments when your old mindset tries to resurface. The voice that says, you'll never change. You always fall back. This is just who you are. But that voice speaks from your past. Grace speaks from your future. The enemy wants you to define yourself by your history. God defines you by your redemption. That means when you stumble and your identity does not collapse. When you feel emotional, your worth does not decrease. When you struggle, your salvation does not shake. Calvary settled that. And here is something deeply important for today. Growth is not measured by how rarely you struggle. Growth is measured by how quickly you return. Years ago, maybe you would have run from God for days. Now you return in minutes. That is growth. Maybe before, guilt would control your entire day. Now you feel conviction and you surrender it. That is growth. Maybe before you would justify your weakness. Now you bring it into the light. That is growth. Do not overlook progress just because you are not perfect. Perfection is not the goal. Dependence is. Today, instead of asking, why am I still battling this? Ask, how is God strengthening me through this? Because some battles are not removed instantly, they are transformed gradually. Every time you choose prayer over panic, you are being strengthened. Every time you choose truth over lies, you are being renewed. Every time you choose surrender over self-reliance, you are being reshaped. Transformation is not loud. It is layered. And layer by layer, day by day, morning by morning, God is doing something inside you. Even when you cannot see it. Even when you cannot feel it. Even when you doubt it. This morning was not about emotional inspiration. It was about spiritual alignment. Alignment changes direction, and direction determines destination. If you keep waking up and surrendering, you will not stay the same. It is impossible to consistently bring your weakness to God and remain unchanged. The change may be slow, but it will be real. So later today, when you feel pressure rising, pause, take one breath, and remember this morning. Remember that you stood at the foot of the cross. Remember that you released what you could not carry. Remember that you chose surrender over shame. You are not starting from zero today. You are starting from grace. And grace is stronger than your inconsistency, stronger than your emotions, stronger than your fear. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are covered. It doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you stable. It doesn't make you careless. It makes you secure. You no longer panic when you feel weakness, because weakness now reminds you where to run. You run to God, not away from Him. That shift alone changes your spiritual life. You are not trying to impress heaven. You are walking with heaven. And as this day unfolds, let your heart stay soft. Let your spirit stay responsive. Let your mind stay anchored in truth. If joy comes, receive it. If difficulty comes, endure it. If temptation comes, surrender it. If victory comes, thank Him for it. Everything today becomes an opportunity to stay close. And closeness, not perfection, is the real goal. You may not fix yourself in a single morning, but you can walk closely with the one who is transforming you. As this morning continues to unfold, there is one more truth your heart needs to settle into. You are not who you were. Even if you still struggle, even if some habits haven't fully broken, even if certain prayers are still waiting for answers, you are not who you were. Because the moment you began choosing surrender instead of hiding, something shifted. Transformation is not always visible in behavior first. Sometimes it begins in desire. You used to justify what now convicts you. You used to ignore what now bothers your conscience. You used to run from God when you failed. Now you run to Him. That alone proves growth. Do not let the enemy convince you that because the battle still exists, you have not changed. The presence of a battle does not mean the absence of progress. In fact, sometimes the battle intensifies because you are moving forward. There is resistance when there is movement. And this morning you moved. You chose humility. You chose surrender. You chose to stand at Calvary instead of hiding in shame. That is not small. There was a time when guilt would have silenced your prayer. Now guilt pushes you into prayer. That is maturity. There was a time when you defined yourself by your worst moment. Now you are learning to define yourself by Christ's finished work. That is freedom beginning. And here is something important for your heart today. God is more patient with your process than you are. You measure progress daily. He sees it eternally. You focus on yesterday's slip. He sees years of quiet growth forming beneath the surface. You get frustrated because you are not where you want to be. He rejoices because you are not where you used to be. There is a deep tenderness in how God works. He does not rush your healing. He walks with you through it. He does not shame your weakness. He strengthens you within it. He does not demand instant perfection. He invites consistent surrender. And consistent surrender changes a person. You may not wake up tomorrow completely transformed. But if you keep waking up and coming to Him, you will not stay the same. That is a promise written into the nature of grace. Grace is not passive. It is active, teaches, it reshapes, corrects gently, it restores steadily. Some of the strongest believers are not the ones who never struggled. They are the ones who kept returning. Return builds resilience. Return builds intimacy. Return builds trust. And today you returned. That matters more than you realize. As this day moves forward, carry this assurance. Your identity is not fragile. It is secured in Christ. Your worth does not fluctuate with your emotions. It is anchored in the cross. Your future is not determined by your weakest moment. It is shaped by His finished work. That means when discouragement tries to whisper later, "You haven't changed," you answer with truth, "I am in process." When shame tries to say, "You're still broken," you answer, "I am being restored." When fear tries to say, "You'll never overcome this," you answer, "God is not finished with me." This is how faith speaks, not loudly, but steadily. Faith does not deny struggle. It declares hope within it. And here is something beautiful to remember. God does not waste your battles. Subscribe for more daily morning prayers.